The mass shootings have triggered a lot of emotion in the Asian American community. Sadness, anger, disbelief.
This is laced with xenophobia, misogyny, gender-based violence.
Violent hate crimes and discrimination against Asian Americans has risen dramatically.
The Asian American community is in pain, it's in anguish.
This has happened to African Americans, to Latinos. This now is happening to Asian Americans. The reaction to Bloody Sunday, it was different, but the impact was the same.
Hate crime law was just passed in Georgia last year after the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. If this is not the situation in which this penalty and this crime was made for, I don't know what is.
We cannot be complicit. We have to speak out. We have to act.
Months after the March 16, 2021 attack, it's quiet. Few cars, no lights, no people, no reporters, and no flowers or memorials. Months after one of Asian America's darkest moments, the families of the 8 victims withdrew from the national spotlight to take the first steps towards recovery.
My mother's name is Yong Ae Yue, and she was 63.
My mother's been in the United States since 1982. She met my father in Korea, they're married, and then, like I said, they moved to Fort Benning, Georgia, and I was born in Fort Benning, Georgia, Martin Army Hospital. My friends very much knew that I was Black and Korean, and so they knew that it was different, like taking off the shoes in the house, and again, eating on the floor, or eating with chopsticks. I recently moved into my mother's house. My mother has dishes, but they're small dishes, right? And so if you know how Koreans eat, we eat in banchan, so it's a lot of small dishes. So we can have this dish here, this dish here, this dish here, but me and my friends, we can't eat off of this because we were gonna have chicken, macaroni and cheese, and collard greens. She had plenty of chopsticks. She spoke Korean in the house to her friends, but my brother and I didn't pick up on it. Yeah. We spoke enough to say hello and bye. I spoke enough to use it as cultural capital when I went into Korean spaces as a Black and Asian man, to let them know that I too am Korean. Sundays were our day. I would come over here for breakfast and she would cook me Korean food, or she would invite me, take me to Korean barbecue, order enough meat for 2 to 3 people, and then she'll eat one piece of meat and then say, "Bobby, you eat it all." Not that I was complaining, right? So my mother was not a patient woman. So when she said, "Hey, Bobby, are you gonna be here at 10 o'clock?" At 9 o'clock, she was probably already at the door waiting for me, right? Her and her dog were waiting for me. And so when she saw my car pull up, they both would be sitting there smiling, waving. Or she would look at me first and she would say, "Bobby, you have lost weight." So I was like, "Mom, what about, a hug?" Or, "Hey, how you doing?" I would change and update her computer, fire alarms, change light bulbs. And so Sundays were our day to catch up on the week, find out what was going on with me, seeing what she needed from me. And then after that, I knew she was just going to work, and then I was going to work, and we'll meet up again on Sunday.
The Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office just released additional names of 4 Korean women who were tragically killed in the 2 spas in Atlanta. They include Soon Park, 74 years old, Hyun Grant, 51 years old, Suncha Kim, 69 years old, and Yong Ae Yue, 63 years old.
It's hard every time I pull into the complex, because the day that my mother was killed, I had to look for her. And I had to find out whether it was her or not. And during that day, we were looking for her car. And I drove through the complex.
Through this complex?
Correct. I remember pulling in and anticipating her car being here.
Hoping
that she was asleep. Hoping that she was here. And so every time I pull in, I remember her car wasn't there. And so I'm reminded of that every single time I pull in. That's when I knew that she wasn't coming back.
Bobby Peterson helped organize his mother's funeral with help from his brother and support of his father. But another woman killed in the shooting spree, Feng Daoyou, had no family to help. Unable to travel from China due to pandemic travel restrictions, she would be buried alone without her family. But two strangers, Kevin Ying and Charles Lee, stepped in. They treated Feng like family.
Over 100 people come over. Nobody knows Feng Daoyou. So everybody is stranger.
It was really touching for us to see so many strangers. We had a representative from the Korean community, Vietnamese, and someone actually from Washington, D.C. As people never met Miss Feng before, never knew her before, and because what they heard, what happened over there, they show up to pay the final respect to a stranger.
No stranger to Feng was her older brother. He worried about his little sister who lived in, to him, a strange land. He says his little sister worked at a young age because after her father died, they needed the money. She did the same now in the U.S. She helped pay for her nephew's and niece's education.
Even when she was working in Guangzhou, she 100% sponsored her mother's allowance every day. All the other brothers didn't do that, only she, Daoyou, did that. Her personality is very, very open and very positive. So even when they're young, they're living in a farmland, they earn very, very little money, but she's always happy with anything she got.
When COVID restrictions change, will you come to see your sister?
We are old right now. We are counting on our younger generation. My son or my grandson will go because my son and all the kids are actually being helped by Daoyou, so they might come one day.
Miss Feng had life in the United States. We have heard over and over again how much she loved her family, supported her mother. So she's just a great person.
Does her mother know that she's gone?
The mother is about 84 years old. They wouldn't dare to let her mother know.
I've spent over 6 hours with these families, and they're broken.
Unfortunately,
Fonnie Willis is the Fulton County District Attorney. The gunman targeted spas in 2 counties in the Atlanta area. Willis oversees the cases of the 4 Korean women killed at Aromatherapy Spa and Gold Spa.
It doesn't matter what culture you're from, we all understand love. And so I understand the love that I see in their eyes and in their communication. We always have a lawyer with me that does speak Korean, and I have all the time in the world to give them, because the reality is this: 4 women in my county woke up and they went to work, and they did not come home. This is not acceptable. And that is what I want America to take away from it. It does not matter who the victim is. They did not deserve this fate, and we need to embrace these families.
My favorite artist is Keshi. He's the reason I picked up a guitar in the first place.
Randy Park is the son of Hyun Jung Kim, whose married name was Grant and worked at Gold Spa.
I am 22 right now, turning 23 this year. I was born in Seattle, and we lived in a town called Aberdeen. I learned recently that's where Kurt Cobain was there at the time I was there, apparently. So we moved to Beaufort in Georgia originally, but for financial reasons, our mom had to leave us with another family. Yeah, when I was younger, I would cry about it. I would be like, why can't you be home? Yeah. For a year, we were basically living with complete strangers. We hated it. Yeah, anytime she would come visit us to see us, we would just complain about like, hey, why can't we just live with you? But she would just tell us that she can't, or we can't, not yet. So I think it was a year or 2 of that. And then she told us like, hey, we can finally live together. We got an apartment, but she would be gone for like days, weeks, or months at a time. My understanding is she just left at the workplace. She was already not very open to talking about her work life anyways, or the extent to which she worked for us. The only time she would not be working is if she just felt ill or sick. Yeah. Like sometimes she would leave and be like, oh, I will be back this many days later, or I'll be back in a few weeks. And then the next day or even a few hours later, she'd come back and I'm just like, I thought you went to work. And she'd be like, I don't feel so good. And then she would just be in bed laying down for however long she needed. Once we realized what her situation was, and seeing how hard she worked, we just appreciated her more.
Because it's for the two of you.
Yeah.
What's something that stands out in your mind about what always made you laugh that she would do? Like, parents always do something funny.
Dance.
Dance?
Dance. Like last November, on my birthday, we were eating cake, and obviously we sang Happy Birthday.
Yeah.
And then my mom was like, hold up, I know a remixed version of Happy Birthday. And she pulled up like this club version and started dancing, and my brother and I are just trying to eat our cake peacefully, and she's just doing her own thing, and she keeps bumping into my brother, and I'm just like, avert my eyes. I made fun of her for a lot of things. She made fun of me for a lot of things. She would tell me like, hey, what would you do if I get a boyfriend or got married or want to marry? What would you say? I'm just like, I would have to see. I basically just like said what like I guess a dad would to their daughter. Like, I'm gonna have to meet this person and approve, yada yada yada. Every time before she went out, she would bother me or my brother and ask us like, "Otte, how does this look?" And any answer that wasn't "you look great" was not the answer basically. So I would be like, "This doesn't match that. I don't think this is it. I think you should do something else. I think you should wear something more modest." and she would just give me a look, and I'm just like, "You look very pretty."
How much has it changed your life, would you say, this tragedy and what happened?
It just sucks. If the reality of it has already hit me, I don't know if it did. I don't know when it will. My top priority right now is just to get things back to normal as closely as it could, I guess.
Symbolic of that struggle, the new suit and dress shoes Randy bought for the funeral. They still sit by the door the day he took them off after the funeral. Randy gave the traditional big bow on the ground, the dirt still stuck in his new shoes, the dirt still on his new pants. A last goodbye.
What would you want to say to your mom now if you had one opportunity to say something to her?
You can just rest. Just chill out, relax. You don't have to work anymore.
I'm the fourth daughter of the Suncheon Park.
Suncheon Park moved to Atlanta from the Northeast. She had planned to move back to be with her daughters and grandchildren this year. She only had 3 months before the planned move. The shooter took that plan away.
Actually, I saw the picture of my mother-in-law like before they make up, and I saw the like bullet holes in my mother-in-law face. Every night when I sleep and then I dreamed it, I'm just worried about if she got shot in her chin. That's why she couldn't say anything. I just want my mom can speak in the heaven.
Do you have pictures of your mother that are your favorites that you could maybe share a couple?
This picture is my mom, and then that's my backyard.
Ah.
Yeah, we have like party in the backyard when she came in my house. Yeah, that's all she made it.
She made all of that.
Yeah.
Throughout our 90-minute discussion, the oldest daughter could not talk. Her husband, Scott, sharing her pain.
She just loved to dance.
The first time I met her before we married, that time my mother-in-law went out to the stage and we danced. That was like first meet. I was like very, very scared.
But I saw her a couple of times when she's dancing. Oh my God, it was amazing. It was beautiful. Actually, I have this picture, Christmas time in Long Island. The middle is my mom. The white pants is me. And then the jean who wear is my third sister.
These are happy times.
This picture is for about 14 years ago. It was a grandson just born like about a week after.
She loves kids. Herself grandkids.
Does. That's why she has 5 kids. Can you imagine? Yeah.
What's that?
It's my mother's
grave?
Yeah. Yeah, grieve.
What is that on top, Hyojong?
It's a flower. I put some flower.
You said she had a nickname. You told me what was her nickname, her short name?
Her nickname was Jolly Park.
Because when she was living in New York, like a long time ago, she used to have like a jewelry business in here. That's why everybody calls
jewelry.
Yeah, jewelry park.
Jewelry.
Like, jewelry
I'm sorry, but
If your mother was jewelry, if she was a precious stone, what kind of jewelry would you say she was?
She was a diamond.
Why diamond?
Because she was kind of like a strong woman, and she was like a very pure person, you can see her inside.
My wife, she's crying every night next to me. She's still crying.
If you come to this community and commit acts of violence, there will be very serious consequences. I cannot imagine the grief that 4 families are going through. I am still a human, we are a DA and we're a prosecutor's office, but to watch their palpable pain is very difficult. And so I mourn the losses with them, but I'm gonna do my part in seeking justice.
How did they react, your children?
They just get like anger, that's all. Really like want revenge. Like they even say like they're gonna send to like some gang there and then they're gonna kill him, like something like that. We just want the gunman is gonna be disappeared in this war. That's all we want.
Actually, all I want, I just want my mother back. I just want my mother back.
Have you forgiven the person that took her life?
No, that's going to be a difficult thing. Forgiveness, that'll be a difficult thing for me to do.
Mike Webb is the ex-husband of Xiaojie Tan.
I did have a conversation with the pastor of his church who called me. I wanted to reach out to them to let them know how sorry we felt for his parents. At the end of the day, they probably saved lives by calling the police, and after identifying their son on the security camera and helping the authorities track him down. These people, that had to be a very tough thing to do, and they're going through the loss of their son in a similar way that we're going through our loss. So forgiveness, I don't know if we'll ever get there. We met in China. I used to do a lot of business in China and traveled there regularly. And they're from a relatively small town in southern China near the Vietnamese border. And we met there. And a year later we were married, but probably the happiest time. We all, myself and Xiaojie, who I called Jay, by the way, and my daughter, we traveled all over China. Jay was a special person. She became a business person early on when we moved to the United States, and she bought a nail salon with money she saved from being a nail technician and working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even after we divorced, she would say, "Don't forget, we family." This divorce thing, that was a nothing in the grand scheme of things. We were and will always be a family. I'll never forget the last text she sent me. She said, "Thank you so very much."
Jamie is Xiaojie Tan's daughter and was adopted by Mike when he and Jay were married.
Jamie's very shy, very quiet. She's had to deal with, all the press for the 2 weeks after her mother was murdered, and it was very tough for her. She didn't ask for this. Now Jamie wants to be involved every step of the way with the prosecution, with the trial. It's just something she wants to do. She wants to know all of the details. I talked to her tonight before we started this interview, and I said, "Look, I'll do the best I can do for you, Jamie. I'm here for you." And she said, "Thank you. You're my hero." And I know you'll do well.
Does she call you her hero often?
No, never before. This is the first time.
This is what we call our plant room.
We visited Bobby Peterson the day the indictments came down. He was unsure about many things, but not about what inspires him to take the next step forward.
And so as I was going through and cleaning up her stuff, these are all my Mother's Day cards that I used to give her. These are all the birthday cards that I would send her. She kept every single one. We did cremate my mother, and so we have her here. We'll scatter her ashes somewhere, find suitable. This lady right here with the smile and the happy face and the goofiness, that was my mother. And one day I'll get back to a point where I can look at her pictures again and smile.
There were over 6,600 anti-Asian hate incidents in the year following March 2020. Yong Ae Yue, Daoyou Feng, Hyun Kim, Sun Chung Park, Xiaojie Tan, Sun Cha Kim, Paul Andre Michaels, Delana Ashley Yawn, the 8 Atlanta victims from that bloody Tuesday. 6 were Asian women. All the business owners were of Asian descent. This attack has become the defining milestone of modern Asian American civil rights.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.